everyone, it's Anthony back with another video, and this evening I wanted to do a first impressions of an all-new wash-off mask that I just introduced into my routine tonight, so this will be the first time that I'm trying it. This brand is the mask is from a brand called Inward, and so I showed this product on a previous unboxing. It was the unboxing for the Good Skin Days. I think it's the Prime Time Cleansing Toner. I think that's what it's called. I unboxed that, and this product was in that shipment. And I picked this up originally because it looked like it might be potentially kind of soothing and a pore refining mask that I was kind of comparing to the RAP by Neogen Soothing Clay Mask. However, upon actually opening this and getting a better look at it, it's very, very unique, very, very different. The closest product, just in texture, which I'll show you in a moment, reminds me a lot of the I'm From Mugwort Mask. So it's that kind of jelly mask that has like the bits of actual mugwort in it. This looks kind of in the same family style of product, but it's the Agas ACue Herbal Mask. This brand is curated to Soko Glam. There's also a serum and a cream, which I actually just got in today. At first I had just picked up the mask, but the product just ended up piquing my interest so much, and it just looked so unique and interesting. And I don't really see anybody talking about this. There's a couple videos on the Inward channel on YouTube that are mostly in Korean. There's a couple that have some slides that are English, and then they have a couple reviews, but those also seem to all be in Korean. I haven't seen a lot of English language reviews for this, or many bloggers or anybody talking about this brand. It's a fairly recent curation to Soko Glam, I think within the past couple of months or few months, but just not a lot of buzz around it. All of the products feature Korean mint, which is where that agas comes from. The actual ingredient, if I can pronounce it, let's see where it's at, is Agastache rugosa extract with Korean mint, and that's what these little drawings are of the Korean mint leaf and the flower. So very, very nice looking packaging. And so I was actually using a different mask as my wash-off mask that I've currently been trying to test to review, and that's the I'm From Honey mask. I used it a couple of times, but just in the heat of like middle of August summer, it's just so hot. And occasionally it'll rain here in the Denver area, and then with that heat it gets really humid. And so having that mask on, which they ask you to put it on for an extended period, like 10 minutes to an hour, I was trying to go the full hour, and it just was too heavy. It's too heavy for my skin right now, and it was just uncomfortable. I couldn't wait to get it off, and I don't want to write a review based on that. I mean, I'll obviously mention, you know, weather and how you feel about the heat and the humidity might impact how you like different weights of products. So but for now, I'm gonna put this back in my stash. I'm gonna hold off on it until things cool down, maybe in the fall, and reintroduce this when I want something like a little bit more occlusive and cozy and warm. But right now it's just a little too much. So I turned to the Inward mask because that's the next wash-off mask that's kind of in my stash to try. It looks a little bit more lightweight, so we'll see how that goes. I've already double cleansed, so I'm ready to go for a wash-off mask. And here is like the big reveal. Oh goodness, look at that. It's a crazy, compared to the I'm From Mugwort Mask, this is a lot more like fluid. It's not as like jelly or solid. You can see it in there. It just like is kind of bouncing around. So it doesn't like hold its shape. You don't have to kind of spread it out, it seems like, as much. It just kind of lays down. I guess you don't have to push it around to spread it out. It just seems a little bit more liquid, and the pieces in there seem a little bit more finely blended. That's the Korean mint. There's also green tea leaf powder, so the green tea leaf chunks in there as well. You also have, let's see, it looks like rose fruit or a type of rose fruit extract. It has this wonderful like green tea kind of herbal medicinal scent. And so there's the product. You can see it's a little bit more thin than the I'm From Mugwort Mask. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Probably not gonna look right in the camera, but yeah, so this is claimed benefits include, it's actually similar to the I'm From Mask, a lot of soothing and hydration, as well as redness reduction, inflammation reduction, or anti-inflammation. But I think there's also supposed to be some like sebum oil control clarifying properties to this as well. And then I'd assume that the mask, because it has little bits of green tea leaf and Korean mint leaf, I believe that's also part of that little blend of herbs. But I believe that could possibly offer some very, very mild physical or surface exfoliation just from the physical action once you go to massage this off or rinse it off of rubbing those leaves against your skin. So, but it's much more lightweight and watery than the I'm From Mugwort Mask. Has a wonderful smell. It smells different than the Mugwort Mask. It's a little bit more subtle, and it's just kind of like a cup of tea, essentially. The other thing I mentioned when I did my review of the Mugwort the Mugwort Mask from I'm From, is that because it's so thick, like feels like you need to put a thick layer of it on, and it comes out pretty, like you go to scoop it and you get a big bit out. I felt like I burned through that mask so fast. And I know that's a lot of other people felt the same way, that you know, you only get a few uses out of that Mugwort Mask because it's just so kind of chunky and heavy. You end up using a lot of product just to get a nice even coat. But because this is so watery and you're not really, you know, you don't need to get the little leaf bits really concentrated. It's more about the fluid that they're resting in. You don't need that much. You go on with a nice thin layer. I kind of barely made a dent in there. So I feel like just at first use, you might be able to get a little bit more bang for your buck, ounce for ounce per application. So yeah, I could see that it could drip if you went really heavy, but I'm going nice and light for this first time. And it doesn't seem like it's like very drippy, or I'm worried that it's gonna get into my eyes or anything. So, and it's just such a cool, like, as far as like being able to take photos of this and share them, like these types of masks that have these little bits and pieces are just so much fun. So there's that fun factor that just makes it enjoyable to use as well. So yeah, got a nice coat on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave this on. According to the directions, I need to do that for 5 to 10 minutes. So we'll do the full 10. I'll come back with you all, and oh, I'm getting little bits of tea all over me. I'll leave this on for 10. I'll come back with you all and we'll rinse and talk results. Okay, bye. Hello, so it's been just about 10 minutes, so it's time to go ahead and rinse this off. As it was sitting, I really didn't notice too much going on, like no tingling or anything like that. I did notice that a lot of that wateriness from the mask does kind of dry down, leave a little bit of like a shiny film behind. So the skin does, or my skin does seem to have absorbed quite a bit of the hydration and all the fluid from the formula, leaving behind a little bit of stickiness and those green tea and Korean mint leaves. And the areas that I got especially thick are still damp. So this really is something that you probably do need just a very thin layer of for it to do its job. But it smells so good. It smells like a green tea mint, kind of like iced tea situation. And I could absolutely leave this on for a very long time. That's one of my favorite scents, is that kind of like herbal tea scent. So let me go ahead and start rinsing this, and we'll see what we've got. Okay, so just finished rinsing, and a couple things I noticed just as I was rinsing the product is that it rinses very cleanly as compared to other wash-off masks that I've used including the I'm From Mugwort Mask. I felt like that one, especially because I always ended up with like a fairly heavy layer on my skin, and that residue that's left behind after it dries down is almost kind of like jelly-like, almost like a gelatin. And so it takes a while to work all that product off and like get all the little twigs and pieces of mugwort off. This one, because it's the little powder of the green tea is a little bit finer and the consistency of that fluid is more watery, it just rinsed a lot more cleanly and quickly, which was a definite plus. And also I did notice, because those pieces of green tea, what have you, are once again more fine, that even though it does give you a very mild physical exfoliation, it's nothing very intense, and it's not as much of a potential risk as the mugwort mask that I'm comparing it to just for this first use. That one does have actual little pieces of twig that I never had an issue with, but people did say, comment on the review that I posted that they had an issue with massaging those. Sometimes they might poke them or feel a little abrasive, but this didn't have anything hard necessarily. It was just a lot of like little flakes. So yeah, and my skin after use feels very soft. It felt incredibly soothing having it on, and as I was rinsing it, has this kind of cooling property. It's a very nice soothing property. I do have some redness here on either side of my cheeks that I'm dealing with, because that's where I grow facial hair, and I've just been having some irritation from shaving, and it does seem to have reduced that slightly. Nothing major. This might be something that, you get those benefits over time. But then again, my skin hasn't been particularly inflamed or red or angry right now, and I don't have any major like blemishes or pimples, fingers crossed, to speak of, that are like big boys, or girls or whatever. So I don't really have a lot for this mask to necessarily tackle, but overall it just helped to like calm my skin just from being out in the heat from a summer day. And it also has seems to have helped just kind of smooth and soften my skin just from that act of applying and rinsing and having that sit. And my skin also does feel nicely hydrated. So I'll keep an eye on the progress with this mask. I'll probably be using it a couple of times a week for the next month and then post a review. But so far, initial impressions are positive. That was a fun, if anything else, that was an incredibly soothing in a sensorial way. Like, it smelled so good, and I just kind of wanted to sleep with that. So just from that, I'm very happy so far. So we'll see how things go, and I'll update you all with a formal review in about a month. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about the brand Inward or this mask specifically, and stay glowing. Bye.